Welcome, everyone. I am Dr. Dream, and you have joined us for the It's All Good show. Uh, you all get tired of me saying this, but since I get to choose my guests, they are people that I find to be fascinating and interesting, and people I tend to have a tremendous amount of respect for, and all of that fits today's guest to a T. My guest is Brad Olsen, and we were just figuring it out. And we think we met in 2015 at Contact in the Desert. Um, I have been super impressed with Brad um, from the time that I met him, but probably more so in the last couple of years. And I think of him as kind of the ultimate Renaissance man of the truth movement. And so, um, with no further ado, because I don't really know what else to say, Brad, welcome to the It's All Good show.
Hey, Dr. Dream. Well, that's quite a compliment to be the Renaissance man of the alternative movement. So I'll do my Da Vinci Vitruvian man jumping jacks if I need to. But
You
hey,
are.
it's great to be on. It's all good. Nice
I'm
talking with
glad
you.
you're here. You are super accomplished, and your accomplishments don't just. I mean, you're when I say Renaissance man, it's just like you're across the board. You're you must be fascinating to actually hang out with and everything because your attention seems to be in, oh, this will sound funny, in a focused way all over the place. And I really like that about you. It's like you're not pigeonholed in any particular area. Before we get into all the juicy and kind of edgy stuff that I want to ask you about and listen to you on, give us a little bit of your background and how did you come about being who you are today?
Yeah, well, and the way you describe it, it's the big picture, which I like to focus on. And that's also indicative of the three books in the Esoteric series that I've written and published. Written 10 books, seven of them were travel books. So I came into this really as a travel writer, but by traveling to all seven continents, including Antarctica 6 years ago. So I do have a big picture, a worldview, you could say. I've spent many years outside of America and seen how the other half lives, but also collected the kind of esoteric information that you sometimes don't find so readily available in this country. And what I mean by that is, so for example, when you go to Egypt, you go to the Great Pyramids, you go to the monuments, you might go scuba diving in the Red Sea. But to climb, actually climb the Great Pyramid when I was there in 1993, a youthful indiscretion. I don't recommend this to kids at home. You get in trouble and a big fine. But I got away with it. But to see the internal chambers with your own eyes and the megalithic designs and the perfect symmetry, it really makes an impression. So when I was doing the travel guides, that was all fine and well, but I could only give a 4 or 5 page treatment to say the Great Pyramids. And I realized there is so much more to this. And I did a whole series of books about sacred places in North America, in Europe, and around the world. By the way, all my books are available on cccpublishing.com. And if you order off that website, and they're my books, there are other authors there too, including Laura Eisenhower and Michael Jaco and Leo Lyons-Gami and several others. But if they ordered my book, you get a signed copy. So to go to these locations and accumulate this kind of worldview on a lot of these subjects that aren't so readily available, even on the internet, but to have the firsthand knowledge, I think has really been my greatest education, even though I had double major degrees in college for 5 years, I learned so much more traveling on the road and being overseas. I was an English teacher in Japan for 14 months and self-financed all my trips. So when you got your own skin in the game, Dr. Dream, I think it makes it a little more valuable. There are no handouts here, is what I'm saying. And so when you're investing in yourself for a trip like this down to Antarctica, for example, which kicked my ass, that was a hard one. But to have that perspective then, and I speak at conferences and I do my Hidden Anomalies of Antarctica presentation, and people are, I think they appreciate my objective point of view. And I just want to get to the bottom of things. I just want to learn myself. And if I can parlay that into interviews such as this or in conferences, then I call that a win.
I love it. And I mean, you talked about things I didn't know about you, and you are obviously very accomplished. Just again, one question before we dive in. Was your family, kind of adventurous in spirit and everything? I mean, were you raised like this, or was it a boring upbringing and you're like, oh, I got to get out and see the world now?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, it was boring growing up in Illinois in the flatlands, no mountains for hundreds of miles away to get to the Rockies or the Appalachians. But I did have adventurous siblings and parents. We would go on canoe trips and in Boy Scouts. My dad was one of the scout leaders, and he would take us on trips and then go on trips with my grandparents to different states and just kind of realizing there's a big world out there. So by the time I graduated college in 1988, I just thought, I don't want to just get a job and go to work and start paying a mortgage. I'm going to take some time and see the world. So I painted houses and backpacked in Europe for 3 months. And here I am thinking, oh, wow, 3 months self-finance. That's so cool. And very few Americans, by the way, were doing that, nor are they on the road too much these days either, international travel. And so I'd meet Australians and New Zealanders. They're like, 3 months, mate. We've been on the road for 3 years. So how do you do that? And say, well, we work our way around the world. So I took that cue, and after the Europe trip, eventually made my way out to Japan, where I taught English for 14 months and then self-financed another year and a half after that. So I was out of the country for almost 3 years in the early 1990s. And that's what helped build this knowledge base of being in these different countries and seeing how the other half lives.
Well, as a fellow traveler myself, it's really exciting to hear what you've done and your adventures. I want to just dive in now to some of the things that have been going on. I mean, we'll bring ourselves up to current things. I want to just touch on a few things that, based on everything that's happened recently, almost seems like it's from the past. But talk to us about the drones and the lights and all that. What's your take on it, and what's your belief about it?
Well, so drones have been around for decades. Uh, we even have recreational drone. You can order one off of Amazon today and fly it around and film your neighborhood. So there's no surprise that drones have really gotten quite popular, especially in the field of military drones. What better way to do reconnaissance or even go on a bombing mission, these suicide drones that the military has without losing a pilot? And it's kind of interesting, Dr. Dream. It's like we're almost entering the age of the robots now, where we're going to have the drone wars and robot wars like Terminator, and maybe humans are going to be stuck in the middle somewhere. But in the recent last couple months, I can't help but see the irony in the fact that New Jersey, we're having all these drone sightings in November and December. And isn't it interesting that the War of the Worlds, which was the Orson Welles radio show in the early 1930s took place in Grover Mill, New Jersey. So to me, it was kind of a setup. It's a primer for either these drones just being part of normalcy and people not really being disturbed by seeing these anomalous mechanical drones. But then you have these plasmoids, these plasma drones, which will rotate around, change colors, even morph into something mechanical. And that is really strange. Now, DARPA has been working with plasma technology for decades now. And it should come as no surprise that plasma, this fifth element out there, this fifth form of matter, is such that it has military application. But it's also light based as well. The sun is largely plasma. So to utilize this kind of technology is pretty mind blowing to most people, especially if you were to see it. And people were sending me videos, even my own relatives in Illinois saw some kind of plasmoid rotating around, changing colors. They're very real, but I have to question the motive. That, again, like the War of the Worlds in New Jersey and some of these drones being misidentified, and they can also be holographic. That maybe we're in the early stages of Project Bluebeam, that we're being conditioned to get used to the idea that not only aliens are here, but we're going to be seeing a lot of weird stuff in the sky. Look, it was only a year and a half ago that Lester Holt comes on NBC Nightly News and says the Pentagon just released a report that there's a mothership in our solar system. Oh, yeah, it's just parked out there by Jupiter. Now, how isn't this the biggest news story of all time? I mean, we should still be talking about it and examining photos and trying to understand what this mothership is. But no, it was just a one and done. So I think it's prepping the narrative for this Project Bluebeam, this fake alien invasion, which has been on the table for many decades.
And what do they hope to get out of the fake alien invasion?
Well, if we can go with what Werner von Braun, one of the paperclip Nazis that came over here and started NASA and became a US citizen and perhaps had a change of heart on his deathbed, he told his assistant, Carol Rosen, that the last card that this globalist cabal group would play would be the fake alien invasion, and that would usher in this new world order, this global government. And he said, but Carol, just remember, it's fake. Don't believe it. And the other things he said that would precede the fake alien invasion have all come true. And that is the war on terror, where you just have an invisible enemy. You didn't never really know who it is, but it's a war on terror and we got to fight it. And that's come and gone. Well, even still continuing. But now that we're in this phase with this high technology, with this plasmoids and holograms, which is what Werner von Braun described Operation Bluebeam as being would utilize, it's a whole new ball game because this technology is very advanced. I mean, we go on what the uh, Lockheed Skunk Works head Ben Rich said back in the 1980s. He too had a change of heart on his deathbed. He said, we have technology beyond your wildest dreams. We have technology that could take ET home. We found an error in the equations, and now we have anti gravity, zero point energy, and so many other devices. And so this is about 40 years ago that they have it. So these black projects, Dr. Dream, they are not decades, but really centuries ahead of the technology that they've released here on Earth. So in a way, this Project Bluebeam could also be a way to reveal this technology. This is what Captain Randy Kramer says, who is a spokesman for Project Bluebeam. And he says they've painted themselves in a corner. They have so much high technology they don't know what to say or how to demonstrate it without getting scolded and congressional condemnation as well as the public because they've been squandering away this technology for decades. And he said by doing an alien invasion, they would be able to showcase their hardware and then be the good guys and be the saviors and come in to squash those bad aliens.
Does it matter who the president is? I mean, here we've gone through the election, we're coming up on the inauguration. What's your take on how any of Trump being in office and everything, does that change anything?
I think it's kind of like the Who song, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. But he has said some things that are encouraging. And we've already seen how social media or Zuckerberg last week said they're not going to do fact checking anymore and opening up the internet for more freedom of speech, which is a very good thing. Possibly ending the IRS. Who wouldn't like that? And putting an end to these senseless wars. I mean, it's just crazy that in the 21st century, we still have humans killing humans. But now the stakes are so much higher because the technology is more advanced. So if we could prevent World War III, I would say I support that.
There you go. Me too. Talk to us about this crazy ass fog that many of us were dealing with a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Dr. Dream, as you may know, I talk about chemtrails and geoengineering and have been speaking on this for several years now. In fact, there's a whole geoengineering chapter in my book, Beyond Esoteric, Escaping Prison Planet. And I've been on the phone with Dane Wigington and spoken at chemtrail conferences as well. So the metallic taste, the chemical smell, the the way that it will affect different forms of matter. Did you see the videos where somebody left a can of cat food out and that it grew all this hair in one of those fog events? So what's going on? I mean, they're spraying us. They're spraying us like cockroaches, but maybe this time they want to get some metallic particles or the graphene oxide into us, or the mRNA is also being detected, as well as a whole host of other toxins. And how come this isn't stopped? How come this is still being allowed? I blame the Air Force. They control the skies over America. They obviously know what's going on with the spraying of chemtrails. NORAD follows every single drone and flight over this country. So don't tell me they don't know what it is. No, we don't know what that Chinese weather balloon is. Come on. Who are you kidding? Of course you do. You're just not telling us. So another form of lying is by omission. And the chemtrail agenda is lies by omission. So I'd say that this fog, because we haven't really gotten any kind of clear answer why people are tasting metallic particles or smelling this stuff, these chemical smells. Once again, we're not getting a straight answer. So we need some truth in government and these military operations to let us know what they're doing and hopefully put them to an end.
Brad, my question always about this is, and when I post on social media and I get people showing up saying, no, that's a load of crap. They're not spraying us, this, that, and the other. And it's just like, it just boggles the mind because I spoke at what was, I believe, the first conference on geoengineering back in 2011 or something like that. That's where I met Dane. I think it was 2011. But here we are, this many years later, and people are still trying to tell me. I get it at the time in 2011. It was kind of like kind of new to be talking about that stuff and everything, but 13, 14 effing years later, and these people are still saying, no, that's not happening. They never do this to us. You know, how can that still be happening? That people still have their heads so, I mean, buried.
Yeah, just ask the black people in Tuskegee in the 1930s that the government wouldn't do that to them, passing off infectious diseases. Look, this government has lacked accountability in some of these black projects for decades. They're lying by omission. They're not telling us the truth. We're learning the hard way when we start to have health problems because of it. But I'm like you. I've tried to fight the good fight and inform people, and a lot of people that are uninformed will fight back and say, "Oh no, they would never do that." Well, they have done it, and I think the normies are now starting to wake up. Maybe it's the drones or this mysterious fog or what we went through with that scamdemic that people realize that we're not being told the truth. We're not being given good advice. And so, in the realm of geoengineering, all you have to do is look at the patents. All you have to do is look at the military applications. Yeah, we can make it rain as they did in the Vietnam War in the 1960s. It's called Operation Popeye. Very easy to look that one up, where they tried to flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail that went through Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. And they hit it with very severe geoengineering. It was very, very wet for the men down there. It didn't really work. In fact, I was just in Laos a year ago and I was along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Laos was the most bombed country in the world when they were trying to knock out the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So they're trying to do it every which way to stop this supply line coming all the way down from China to no avail. And one of those ways was geoengineering, which you kind of have to ask yourself. I'm out here on the West Coast. I was in California during those wildfires and Coffee Park, Santa Rosa, and Napa Valley, and up in Paradise. I went to investigate all those locations after those fires. Why didn't they move in Operation Popeye and put them out? Similarly, with what's going on in LA right now, they can do that, but they're not. In fact, those fires are very anomalous. All two have popped up right at the same time. Within an hour, the three big ones started their satellite videos where you can see just right at the same time. And that's not unlike other anomalous fires. For example, in Quebec last summer, same thing. A half a dozen fires start right at the same time, right during these big wind events so the fire can move very rapidly. So you always got to ask yourself, what is the motive? What would anyone gain from this? Well, there could be a land grab, sure. People's house gets burned out. They lost their insurance a couple months ago. So all they have is the value of the land. Yeah, they'll probably sell it pennies on the dollar, what they paid for it. They can't get their house back. There's no insurance. So there's always the problem reaction solution, Dr. Dream. And I think we're seeing now, if we want to pivot over to the LA fires, that LA is slated to be another smart city, another 15-minute city by 2028, the year that they're hosting the Olympics there. And so there's your problem reaction solution. They need to clear out some land. They need to get people to move out or sell their property cheaply so they can put in Olympic stuff and then rebuild. Oh, yeah, build back better. So stack them and pack them in high rises and not be living out on palatial estates anymore. And so these fires to me, Dr. Dream, down in LA, it just smacks once again of paradise, of Lahaina, of Canada fires. I mean, there's a motive to get in there, to do different things, to build back better. And now we're seeing it once again, but this time on a much larger scale and impacting a wider area and people that we know are losing their houses and are now homeless. So this is one that's really hitting close to home, especially for those of us out here on the West Coast.
So what stops this? Like what how are we where's our power in all of this? And are enough people awake? And I mean, already I'm seeing all this on social media, everything you've talked about, but I'm also seeing people say no, no, that's not it. This was natural. It's the Santa Ana winds, it's a tinderbox, it's this, it's that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it
where's it
is
going? What
that.
can we do?
Well, I would agree with Dane Wigington that knowledge is power, and the best thing we can do is just be alert and informed and be aware that these programs and operations are still going on. Look, there has never been any reconciliation about the chemtrail agenda. It is still going on in earnest. Today, I'm looking out the window. It's a blue sky day today, but yesterday there were lines all over the sky. So planes don't do that. One day on, one day off. No, they're flying every single day. We know we're being sprayed. Again, you can look at the patents, you can look at all the different military applications and operations, but it's steering storms around, and they can steer hurricanes just as well. Look at the anomalous hurricanes that hit the South this last summer. Those could all be avoided. There was a PSA, like a documentary of Disney Productions did in the late 1950s about how scientists in the future will be able to control hurricanes and steer them off the coast. Yeah, that technology exists, but the exact opposite is true. They're steering those hurricanes in with greater ferocity than ever before, just like these fires are burning higher, hotter, and doing more damage than ever before, too. So we need some accountability. We need some truth from our government about these geoengineering programs. And until then, all we can do is what we're doing here, Dr. Dream, is have a intelligent discussion and talk about the facts of what's going on with this stuff.
I find it encouraging that RFK Jr. Is aware of Dane Wigington and has spoken with him and everything like that. But I've got to wonder if that's going to make a difference, because someone's got to get in there. You and I can talk till we're blue in the face. And every time we do, maybe we talk a few more people into looking at the facts, and then it's undeniable. But someone's got to be able to get into a place of power to make these things stop and to bring the accountability.
Yeah, absolutely. And this might be our best opportunity because you can't see the previous administration doing anything like that or even addressing it. It's lies by omission. They don't talk about it, out of sight, out of mind, but still it's going on. So we need someone who will A, address the issue, and then B, hopefully do something about it and put an end to it, like cleaning up our food, like cleaning up medicine and so many other things. We are just being poisoned in so many different ways. It's called the slow kill agenda. You can't just give someone a shot and keel over. People in line might question if they're going to do it. It's got to be a slow process, and that's exactly what's going on with so many of these different ways. You can make a very logical argument that everything in the air, land, and water now is poisoned. You've got the chemtrails in the sky, you got the fluoride in the water, you got GMOs in our food, and then so many other things in the medicine and other applications that are just not good for the human body. Humans, when they die, they take much longer to decompose than they did 100 years ago because we have so many preservatives in our body now from the food we've eaten. So I absolutely agree with RFK that we got to clean up the food, clean up the FDA, clean up these agencies that have allowed this wholesale poisoning to occur.
Now, you're aware of all this, so I want you to talk to us a little bit about what are some of the things you do in your life to mitigate this toxic soup that we're living in.
Well, it's a multi-pronged approach, and that's one, I live outside of an urban area now, pretty much right on the edge of civilization. I noticed the chemtrailing's always over California. Now I'm in rural Nevada, so I don't get hit with that too much. Try to watch what I eat and try to keep it clean. Also, don't drink soda or sugar water stuff, and just try to maintain a healthy lifestyle. But it also requires a state of mind that we know that people who are really worried about something, they can affect their body that way. The psychosomatic illnesses are very real. Ulcers are just from a state of mind, from people worrying too much. So part of my own plan, yeah, get a lot of exercise every day, working on my ranch, but also staying positive and not allowing these things to get me down, because everything we're talking about here, they can really get you down. They can make you depressed. And I don't think that's for me, that's not a solution.
So take us into that a little deeper, because this is the to me the challenge in my own life is I go down the rabbit hole. I talk to you, I talk to Dane, I research and I know all this stuff that's going on. How do we hold our frequency higher than all that when we know what's happening, when it's so blatantly in front of us? I mean, ignorance is bliss. Well, we're not ignorant. And so, what's the practical sense of that you're talking about?
Well, it's also ties into what you do, Dr. Dream, with the toning, with the bowls. That Tesla said you want to understand the secret of the universe, sound, frequency, vibration, energy. So doing those little things helps. Meditation helps. Just waking up in a positive frame of mind helps. Now I realize that that might be a pie in the sky dream, but if you worry about something too much, not only are you going to help manifest it to make it happen, but you're going to make yourself sick over time. So it's hard to say, but it's just one of those things you just have to, if you get that negative thought, reverse it to something positive. It's the Buddhist way of turning off the monkey mind and not fretting about things, especially those that you can't change. So, yeah, we see the chemtrails spraying all over the place. You can't shoot those planes down. You can't do anything about it, but you can mitigate the toxicity you're having. You can do a detox and you can help inform others what's going on. And I think that's why you've done well with this podcast and your toning sessions, and why I've done well with my books and speaking at conferences and doing interviews is we're just trying to help inform people. And really, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, because we do have the numbers. It's the one advantage we have is that there are a lot of us that can affect a change. For example, voting out this corrupt administration. Let's hope the next one does better and keeps their word. But there is safety in numbers. There's also effectiveness in numbers too, that we can all band together when we see something and right or wrong. And I'm hoping that's what's going to happen in the next couple of years.
Excellent. I love that. Now, I want to ask you about, we're seeing Elon Musk gaining more power, sort of inserting himself into a position of possible more control. Certainly, he would be one of the leaders of the transhumanist movement. What's your take on all of that, and how that's all coming about?
Yeah, I got mixed feelings about Elon Musk. In some way, I think it's great what he did with X. making it a free speech platform. But in a way, he's another globalist. He's working on these other ventures such as the Neuralink. I
Right.
don't want a microchip in my brain, even if it communicates with his electric car. So I think the jury's out, but it does seem like he's going to work with Trump and cleaning up government, making it more accountable. So that can't be anything but a good thing right there. So we're just going to have to wait and see how if he really comes through with what he says he's going to do.
Yeah, it's crazy out there. I was just in a Whole Foods yesterday, and they've all got the palm readers now, and certainly the next thing is the chip and everything like that, and it's things we've talked about for years that are just kind of being eased into our reality and everything. And I just hope enough of us stand up and say, no, that's not what we're doing. Same with the vaccines and everything else. Now, your esoteric series, which I love that's the series. A number of more books planned for that.
Well, Beyond Esoteric, Escaping Prison Planet was just released last week as a second edition. So I have new information, a new chapter on the pandemic, a lot of different new photos and captions, but I updated the whole book and added there's 24 more pages in this edition. So it got a good upgrade, and that just came out. I'm also working on a new book that'll be out in beginning of this next year, end of this year, called The Secrets of Antarctica, the untold history under the ice. So I'm working on that every day, and that's already been announced with my distributor. Have the book cover already done in the catalog. So I'm working on that book, and there will be an accompanying new conference presentation that'll go along with it. And I've got my 12th book called Underwater Archaeology also in the works, which will probably be out in 2 years from now. So it kind of takes me a while to get a book out, but I always want to make it top quality, something that I would treasure to have on my own bookshelf. And I want to give the reader the most amount of value uh, at a lower competitive price. I wish I could just give it away, but there are costs associated with printing a book, and somehow I need to still make a living. So hope people understand that we love free information, but sometimes the premium option is you have to buy the book.
Now, you've been doing this for a while. Talk to us about how it's the response you're getting and I mean, are more people coming around? I imagine when you started with, sharing the esoteric knowledge, it it wasn't as well received as it is today. What are you seeing out there at the conferences and things like that?
Yeah, that's funny you should bring that up because this is the 30th anniversary of CCC Publishing. So I've been in this game half my lifetime now and doing other authors and bringing them in, also books that I would value having of my own, but also doing the outreach, doing the conference presentations, doing the interviews. And to see all this stuff start to come true or the normies start to grasp it is it. I wouldn't say it's a and I told you so moment, but I could see it coming. And actually the word changes. The word esoteric is knowledge available to only a select few. When it starts to reach a wider audience, and we can use the example of drones or plasmoids, Then it becomes exoteric. That's when it's well known to the rest of the world. And so a lot of the subjects in my esoteric series of books are starting to come true. And I think it's a great thing because this is the great awakening right now, Dr. Dream. You're playing your role, I'm playing my role. We're all trying to elevate the human race and take us into this golden age, and information is power. So the more you know, the more intelligent decisions you can make, and even keep yourself healthy, sane, and wise by understanding a lot of these subjects that have been withheld from humanity for so very long. And a lot of this stuff, I mean, it goes all the way back to the mystery schools of old and the secret societies of a more modern age. And now we can understand what it was all about. And it also will tie in the extraterrestrial question. I like that quote from Bill Cooper, who said, "You put the aliens in the middle of this stuff and you get all the answers." And the UFO and ET question is very much an esoteric subject that has been withheld from humanity. And now this is starting to come out. So it's a good thing that there are people like you and me that can help articulate this whole idea of humans interacting with extraterrestrials. And I think we'll come to find that there were good ones and there were bad ones. And the bad ones had their own agenda and they did the human abductions and the cattle mutilations and were also part of the exopolitical agendas to control this planet. And so while those structures start to break down and humans start taking care of each other as we should, maybe we can come to the table with some of these benevolent ETs, these very, very advanced races, some of which look just like us. You wouldn't even be able to tell walking down the street if a tall, white, Nordic type ET was passing you by.
With a purple
So,
beard, maybe.
I mean, there you go.
So just this is of particular interest to me. You've been doing this for a while. There's got to be nuggets of information that you've dug up or you've found that has been put out there, but you've shown a brighter light on it that has changed your view and your perspective of things. Give us some examples from your books or from current research of some of these things that just take you and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Oh, really? Yeah. Working on this esoteric series of books for now almost 15 years with Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses is book one in the series. Future Esoteric, The Unseen Realms, which delves into the alien and UFO issues. And then now Beyond Esoteric, understanding, researching, learning about these things has definitely helped me as a person, made me healthy, wealthy, and wise, you could say, to know what course of action is best in my own life. And so I just want to help other people out to learn this stuff as well. And maybe it's because I'm good at speaking in front of a large audience. Even from the time I was a little kid, my grandpa said, "Brad, you got the gift of gab." He said, "You could be a lawyer or a salesman." I was a very good salesman at the time I was doing it, but never got into law. But communication is key. And to be able to be a good communicator to help people understand these sometimes thorny subjects is just my being in service to all. And I think I believe in karma. I lived many years in the Far East. I'm traveling tomorrow to Southeast Asia and doing my international travel once a year and seeing this other side of how other people who are much less fortunate circumstances that we have, how they can be so happy. And that's really one of the things, Dr. Dream, that's always stuck with me is seeing families that make 50 cents a day hauling rocks around, hardest labor you can imagine. But then they come home and the grandparents live with the grandchildren and they're all together and happy. And you walk by and they say, "Hey, come on over here, have some tea with us." And it's like, wow, they have it right. And we're kind of so stuck in this material world in the USA that we've got some lessons to learn from the people abroad. And so I think that's one of the biggest eye-opening experiences that I've had through travel and then through research about how you don't really need a lot. And of course, we're not going to leave this world with anything that we've accumulated. So you might want to start to know thyself and go within and try to work on yourself and make yourself as happy as you can be and as generous. What are the three tenets of Buddhism? An ordinary person can do is charity, compassion, and wisdom. It's something you can work on and demonstrate every day of your life.
Oh, that's awesome. And I see your post. You appear to be very close with your family.
Yeah,
That's
I love my
awesome.
family. They're
You
my
know,
friends.
good as they should be. I love that. I really do. It's nice to see that and everything. I so appreciate you taking the time today to share your insights and just to share yourself as you do in your life, and it means a lot. And it's I look forward to reconnecting in person one day. I'm not sure when that'll be. I'm a little bit out of that loop that we used to connect in, but who knows what'll happen. But I thank you very much. I thank you for your service to all of us and what you're bringing forth. And I'm going to go to your website. What is the website again?
Well, it's cccpublishing.com if you want to check out my books or the other authors who are in CCC Publishing, or bradolsen.com, as my name is spelled Olsen, one word, for my conference schedule. And I've already booked at a half a dozen conferences and more to come in 2025. And then other projects that I work on. I was the founder of the How Weird Street Fair, and that was in a 25 years run in San Francisco. But
Is that done?
it is in its current form. I'm out of state now, and so is my partner, who is doing most of the financing of the event. He's now in Florida, and the city has just accelerated the cost so much that it's just too much risk to throw our hat into the middle and just hope for the best, because we had a freak rain year last year and had to postpone it to September. Did great. It's a wonderful event. And I'm hoping a Bay Area event production company will pick it up. So maybe not to say that it's a goner, but in the grassroots formula that we created, it just there's way too many expenses. It's close to $250,000 to produce that event with about 100K up front. So I don't know about you, but let me check my pockets.
I'm
I don't have 100K ready to
a
go
little
right
short this month.
now. Checking though.
Well, you've had a great impact on so many people and in so many areas, and that Howard fair is kind of just off of what we're talking about, but just another area that you've had an impact, and takes me right back to what I said earlier, that you're really the Renaissance man of, as you said, the alternative movement. And it's great and it's inspiring. And have a wonderful trip to Malaysia. And wishing you all the best in 2025. We'll be following you.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Dream. Always great to connect with you. Thanks for having me on your show. And yeah, we'll do it again sometime and hope that we run in the same circle and we can hang out again. And I'd love to come to hear one of your toning sessions again. I think it's really beneficial to be in that state of mind with the way you guys do your the performance with the bowls. I really love it. So thanks so much. And yeah, hopefully we'll see each other soon.
Thanks, Brad. Many blessings, all the best, and it's all good.
It is all good. It really is.
Take care.